Hey Scorpios, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be taking a look at your first half of October general reading here. So in your meditation, I was, living the experience of the Scorpio collective. I was standing in a very dark room in front of a door, and I knew that there was light emanating from it, but I wasn't sure what was on the other side. And then I had Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon come up next to me, and it felt like we were kind of in this together, looking at this door. Do we go in? And then, the Scorpio collective, you went to touch it, and it was so hot. It was like, oh my God, looking at Toothless going, are we gonna go through that door? What's going on? Then I saw the door melt, and I got like a glimpse on the other side of it of Smog from The Hobbit, which is, a very scary, mad dragon, right? And it's just really intense in there. It was like, yeah, we're not gonna go through that door. That looks way too intense. But then I saw you as the Scorpio collective introduce your element to the frame. So I saw you bringing in a whole ocean of water, which just drenched the whole scene, and Smog was, extinguished in a way, not like killed or anything, but the fire was put out. It was an ocean, and then I saw, Smog kind of drift away, and then I saw Toothless kind of run into the water and start swimming, and it felt like a much more relaxed scene. So this is interesting because then I saw the words refining your element, which is interesting because as Scorpios, you are water signs, you are water energy, but Scorpion medicine is fire. It's directly related to the element of fire. So this whole aspect of fire and water is very, very interesting. Also, this concept of refining your element. When I think about that, it's like, what's your element? What does that mean? Well, what do I do when I feel most at home? Or what am I innately good at? Or what do I do? Or where am I when I'm not in my head and I'm just like vibing? Because I'm not overthinking it. I'm in my element. There's something about that with refining your element. So really, really interesting on this fire and water energy. Let's go ahead and let's see what your cards say. Hey Scorpios, let's go ahead and see what your animal energy is for the first half of October. Oh, I'm so happy to see this. Okay. I feel like you guys get the swan quite a bit, but it's always very happy when the swan comes up. So water energy here. If you know me at all, you know that whenever you get an animal that is of your same element, that is always very auspicious. So we're looking at a very auspicious period for you in the first half of October, going into your birthday season. But of course, what's really fascinating about this that strikes me initially is we had Toothless the dragon, and then we had Smog the dragon. So we have those two aspects, right, of that dragon, although very different, right? Embodied very differently, right? And then we had one in the fire and one in the water. So it's really interesting here. Now, swan energy most closely equates to that of the star key, Aquarius energy in the Tarot, which is about great hope, great faith, great love, intuition, wish fulfillment, being in the spotlight, enjoying good health, just all of the good things, right? And then we have this swan here with that reflection, and swan medicine is very much about being willing to look at the aspects of ourselves and others around us from a place of, unconditional acceptance, right? And I say unconditional acceptance as opposed to unconditional love, because sometimes that can be a lot to look at ourselves and say, I have unconditional love for myself. That is may take some work, may take some time. We may have moments of doing that and then, we're not. But acceptance feels a lot more accessible. So I'm getting that with this. It's that, unconditional acceptance, but also that aspect of like refining your element as well. It's a call to that, which is interesting with the star energy, because the star key, again, with that Aquarius energy, is Aquarians are known as when they are in their element, they are very unique. They are visionaries, they're humanitarians. They see things in a way that nobody else does. They're always ahead of their time. So I feel like this is coming through for you in the sense that you're being asked to really consider about what are you, where are you, what are you like when you are in your element. And it's interesting that your water sign, and then we got the water of the swan, you in your element. It's really, really interesting here, Scorpio. So let's see what's going on. Let's see what is going on. Right. Someone else got Five of Swords. I think it was Sagittarius. Five of Swords, right. So the air energy here. Five of Swords, 5 being the number of change. This is really about, you know, either yourself and or other people around you, not always coming from a place of integrity, or being in a sort of situation, again, whether with yourself and or others, that just feels discombobulated to the point of even bordering on self-sabotage, or like you are out of accordance with what feels right for you. So it's basically a bit of a mess with the Five of Swords. It's having a lack of trust in yourself. It's having a lack of trust in your given circumstances, either based on past experience or having an innate sense of like, I do not trust easily or well, which, you know, Scorpios have a bit of a reputation for struggling with the concept of trust. And you guys are notorious for, you know, once trust is breached or broken, it is, I mean, almost impossible to earn it back. So I do feel like there's something, I feel like saying to you, really investigate the times or the circumstances in your life where not just your heart was broken, but you felt quite discombobulated and displaced, and like you were either being treated out of accordance with how you deserve to be treated, or you weren't recognized for the gem that you are. Because there's something about that is still affecting you in the here and now. Okay. Right. The Hermit. I love this. So the Hermit, number 9, you know, it's interesting because he's definitely by the ocean. You know, the Hermit is very much about taking some time with yourself and your own energy to ask those questions, to think those thoughts, to really get clear on, you know, what about your circumstances and your own path and the world at large really matters. Right? This is about reflecting. It's also about regenerating as well. It's interesting because we saw that smog, the you know, water getting introduced to the fire. You know, with this beetle energy here as well, did you know that beetles are, which is so brilliant that it's depicted this way in the Hermit key, is about regeneration, but it's also about like having a second act. And I feel like there's something about this, with the swan like this and the Humpty Dumpty piecing yourself back together again. There's something about a second act coming through here. And I want to say to you, like, how would you feel about a second act? And I feel like there's something in there about refining your element. I feel like I'm tapping into something where it's like, okay, like, how do you feel about giving ABC another go? How do you feel about renewing your love for this? How do you feel about giving this another go, but in different circumstances? Maybe it's a better time now, right? It's interesting. You know, the Hermit is Virgo energy as well, which also speaks of a, you know, a call to the details of things, a call to the right timing and the order of things. But, you know, with this swan energy here, also, you know, taking time on your own, with this star, with the swan energy casting this beautiful glow over the rest of the cards here, with the stars in the sky here as well, right? I do feel like there is an aspect of this that speaks of divine timing, right? Things aligning and shifting for you in a way, refining your element. What is it that you do, again, that you really love to do, or that you're really good at, or when do you feel in your element? And then really bringing that up for focus and attention, and then considering, how might that, you know, create a path for you going forward where you get to spend more time in your element, where you get to make a living while being in your element? Or how can that, you know, positively affect your relationships, your potential, again, your path, the way that you see things? Something about that. Okay, what else is going on? Right. Wow. So we have the 6, I feel like you guys get the 6 of Cups a lot as well. So here we have the 6 of Cups. So water energy again for you. What's really interesting about this is that the Six of Cups is about the past. It is about nostalgia. It is about remembering things in a better or worse light than they actually occurred. It's fascinating because here we have little baby Edgar Allan Poe with his cousin Annabel Lee and, all of that history there. But it's fascinating because he's offering her a cup with a moon in it. And then we have the castle, which makes me think of that dragon energy, and then like the powers that be above. I'm really getting called back to this aspect of the divine timing, but I really feel like you are being called to take a look at, because when we think about childhood, right? When we think about being in our element and connecting to what we're good at and really, really being in that energy, so often what we were drawn to as a child, what we love to do as a child, comes up again in our adulthood as something that is aligned with our soul purpose, right? Whenever we have that question of like, what am I here to do? What is going to bring me the most happiness? What does that look like? What are the answers? I'm telling you, more often than not, it's like, what did you do as a child that you really loved? Or what do you do where you look up and the time has flown? Children are experts at being in the present moment, which is what makes time, well, this is debatable, but in my experience, that's what makes time really fly, which is why they say like, time flies when you're having fun. Well, time flies when you are really embodying each moment and not concerned about the future or the past. So this is coming up as a remedy in this way, but I do feel like I want to take this a bit literally because also Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, funnily enough, is considered, I feel like it, is for people of all ages. I'm a fan, but it's really geared towards children, right? So it's interesting here. I do feel like you are being called to access that inner child part of yourself and really give it new life in some sort of way. And I feel like this is creative. I do feel like it's creative. I feel like it's creative in some very marked way, right? I keep hearing it. Your second act, refining your element, giving it another go, right? The Six of Cups here. I feel like them up there, it's kind of giving me the feeling of the Judgment key, right? Which is like, okay, final call. Like you have an opportunity around this. Do you want to go this direction? Do you want to revive this? This can be so many different things, but the example that's coming to mind is like, let's say that you were working on something years ago. Let's say for, just for the sake of example, that it was like a creative project. And then it wasn't the right time. You put it aside, you got distracted with other things. And then it's starting to come back around to you now. Like, what if I picked that up and what if I tried again? What if I gave that another go? Or this thing that I really used to love to do, I stopped doing it. What if I went back to that? I mean, how can maybe that set me up moving forward in a way? There's something about your wish fulfillment, what you really desire, and divine timing is an opportunity coming through around that leading up to your birthday season. Interesting. Let's get some advice. Right. King of Cups. Whew, really brilliant. More water energy here. King of Cups is very much, when this comes up as your advice, this is a call to balance your emotions, right? Find your emotional equilibrium and then make your choices and your judgment from that place of balance, right? We can get very passionate about things. We can get excited about things. We can overthink things. There's always an extreme, place that we can go as human beings, especially when we want something, right? Or we feel, a lot of energy around something. But King of Cups is coming in to say, I make the best choices when I come from a place of balanced perspective and emotional equilibrium, right? And then we have the dolphins over here in the background, which is brilliant because dolphins is a hybrid energy between Ace of Cups and Six of Cups, which is right here, which is about big intuitive information, creative forces, fertility, love, and then Six of Cups, again, being about nostalgia of the past and really embracing the present moment. I do feel like you have opportunities coming your way here, and you're really being encouraged to balance your emotional state and emotional core around it in order to experience better results or a more balanced experience than you have before. That's the key that may have been missing. Because here's the thing with the swan and the two here as well with that balance, right? as above, so below as well. I'm feeling with Magician energy. So with that aspect of it, when we are in a place of balanced emotion, right, which is like peacock energy as well, when we're in a place of balanced emotion, we are not able to just make the decisions that are best for us, but we're able to feel good about it, moving forward in a sustainable way. Because when we're not in a balanced emotions, it's going to swing the other way. And suddenly what we felt really great about, we suddenly don't feel great about. It's like that swinging pendulum, right? But King of Cups, it's all from the place of the middle. It's all from the place of balance, which makes a lot of sense with this Hermit energy here as well. Because a lot of the times when we're called to adopt the Hermit pose, as it were, it is in order to regain or reestablish our own sense of equilibrium and balance. Right? So there's something in that. I'm also hearing that it feels like it's going to be highly beneficial for you to, in some way, and for some length of time, however this works for you, to remove yourself from any kind of outer stimuli and goings on so that you have a direct line to that reflection point from which you can gaze into, right? With this Hermit energy, with the Swan energy, the waters feel very like they're moving around a lot. A lot of emotional energy. Remember we saw with that dragon, like bringing in the water and feeling much better for it, right? I feel like for you, it's about, you know, getting to the place where your body of water is still so that you can see your reflection within it, right? So that feels really, really good, Scorpio. Let's go ahead and get an oracle. Let's get an oracle. Oracle for Scorpio. Right. Resistance. Interesting. So resistance, you know, this is, see the wind, how it's flying against and into the wind. This is really interesting here because what I'm getting, I'm feeling that this is about you, about your inner resistance. This doesn't necessarily feel about like it's about your external given circumstances being a point of resistance to what you're trying to do or where you're trying to go. This feels like this is highly internal for you. You may have a resistance to balancing out and really reflecting into a body of, you know, water there, into a mirror point, into a reflective surface. You know, I'm hearing a cliche, but I'm going to pass it on. What you resist persists. It's the only thing that is, you know, this can be difficult. A lot of people resist the Hermit, to call the Hermit, okay? Lots of people do. I completely understand it, especially for a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio moons, which rules the emotions, so I really understand how difficult and scary it can be to assume that position of the Hermit and really sit within our emotions in the way where we're accepting of whatever comes up without wanting to look away or dull the senses or escape or whatever, through whatever means that, you know, may work for us, whether it's, you know, I don't know, smoking, drinking, you know, sleeping, eating, whatever it is, all the ways in which that we do things out of balance, right? That keep us from sitting with what is there within us emotionally. I'm hearing to really examine the aspects of resistance that take place in your life that keep you from balance and keep you from looking within. We all have them. Nobody is immune to this, right? What do you do that numbs you out and disconnects you from what's going on internally? Because that's where all the good information is, and you're being called to access it through a place of, again, doesn't have to be unconditional love, but unconditional acceptance. What do you think would come up if you weren't doing anything to numb it or distract from it? If you were to truly be in the Hermit position, right? Interesting. Really, really beautiful, Scorpio. So with that being said, I am wishing you a very, very blessed first half of October, almost your birthday season. And I so hope that this helps and resonates. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading your comments. And please like, share, and subscribe. I would so appreciate that. And with that being said, just thank you. Thank you so, so much for being here. And most of all, and as always, thank you. Thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.